Hello there, everyone, and welcome to Current RMS's first ever webinar. We're very excited to be starting our webinar series, and thank you very much for joining us today. Can I just ask that everyone keeps their mics muted throughout the session? I will be sharing my screen as we'll be going through certain areas of the system. Now today we are going to be looking at getting started with Current RMS. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Matthew. I am a product specialist here at Current. I've been with Current for around about 5.5 years now, and it is my pleasure to be here with you today. Now, I have said that we are going to be looking at certain areas of the system. They are mostly around getting started, our system setup, our system preferences. So if you are new to Current, this is going to be especially helpful. If you've been with Current for a little while now, you may know some of this information already, but I'm more than happy to give you maybe a little bit of a refresh on these areas of the system. The session is being recorded, so if you do want to have a copy of the session, it will be sent out after the session. And if you do have any questions, my advice would be to jot them down, make a note of your questions as we go through the webinar. We will be sending a follow-up email for some feedback on the session, and it will also be a great time for you to ask any questions that you do have off the back of the session. But do not forget that we've also got the green help bubble in the bottom right-hand corner of your system where you can contact our team and we will be happy to answer any questions you do have. So without further ado, I'm just going to share my screen with you all and we can get started. Okay, so hopefully you can all see my screen now. As I mentioned, we're here today to look at the key steps for getting started with Current RMS. Every business is different, so that's important to keep in mind, but there are some core parts that every company will do. Now, we are going to be touching on a few things today. Certain areas of the system, as I mentioned, system setup, system preferences. But do remember that you can always schedule a separate session to run through parts of this process in more detail, and that goes for any area of the system. If you would like to have an online training session or full demo of the platform with myself or a member of our team, you can do so via our website. The steps that we'll be running through today are personalizing your system, customizing core preferences, adding your team into the system, and then also adding inventory and customers. Now, if you haven't done so already, you can sign up for a 30-day free trial of Current RMS. This can be done on our website. And as I mentioned, it's totally free. You get access to every element of the system, nothing's held back. And it only takes a few minutes to get signed up on our website. You don't need to enter your credit card information to do so. So there is no obligation to subscribe, but we would hope that after 30 days of trial in the system, you would see the benefits it can provide you and would be ready to move forward. You'll have the option to start with a completely blank system or have a system that has some dummy data imported already into it. If you do start with a blank system, that can seem scary, but it is a really exciting opportunity to get things set up exactly how you want them. This is the future of your rental business. It's a simpler and easier way of running things all through one system. So making sure that you get the system set up correctly is a fantastic place to start. Now, as you're signing up, you will fill out some details during the sign-up process, and that will import some of the information in the system for you. But we're going to take a look at a few extra bits that you may find helpful. They can be found in System Setup. So if we just click on our user icon over here in the top right-hand corner, followed by System Setup, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of it. Now, we're going to start by going into the company information section. In company information, you're going to be able to add in some important information, such as a logo, your business logo. You're going to be able to include your company registration number and your tax registration number here as well. This information will be used on certain documents that you will generate within the system. Your logo in particular will appear on any quotation, rental agreement, picking list, or invoice that you will send from Current. So it's really important to get that information in there so that when you send that document, it's easily identifiable as your own. Below company information, we find the billing information section. I'm just going to briefly touch on this, as this is where you will want to enter your card details as you come towards the end of your 30-day free trial and are getting ready to move forward with Current RMS. Now I'm just going to scroll down the page a little bit further, and we're going to touch on static data. And the first option you have in static data here is your stores. Now, stores are important as they are essentially locations where inventory is held. So if you have two locations where you store your equipment and that stock can come from either of those locations, you will be able to set them up as stores. Here we just have a default store. Everyone, when you sign up, will have a default store. You can edit that store and add in some additional information. Again, you've got contact information here for that particular store. If you have a telephone number or an email address associated with that location, and then more importantly, your address. It's easy to change this information if you need to over time. Let's say your telephone number changes, your email, or you move to a different location of which you only have the one. You can just come into this page and edit that detail. And this information will also be used on your documents. We often get asked how to update addresses for your quotation documents, for example, and this is the place to do it. So you just come into System Setup and edit your stores. If you do have multiple locations, you do have the option to add in an additional store just over here on the top right-hand corner. So that's the basics done. That's the real bare basics of the system. Now we're going to get into something that's a little bit more complex, but really quite straightforward. And that is your rental charging, taxes, and then we're also going to take a look at system preferences. So let's go back into System Setup, which can also be found at the bottom of your page under the My Account section. For your rental charging, we'll once again want to go back down to Static Data, and we will find the Rental Charging Setup section. This is the section where we will be able to tell Current RMS the different ways that we charge. For example, we might charge on a daily rate, a weekly rate, or something in between like a 3-day week rate. Now, Current RMS comes with a few common rates, which you can see on the page here. And we find that these cover a majority of our customers. Now, if these rates do not meet your requirements, if a daily rate is not what you're looking for, maybe a weekly and 3-day rate don't meet your requirements either, you can set up your own rates. To do so, select Add Rate Definition, and in here you will be able to create a brand new rate specifically for your use. You will have the option to select from the rate engines that we have available. Now, we won't be going into a great amount of detail here because there's so many different ways you can set this up. It really is quite varied. It can vary a lot from customer to customer. So we are going to just keep it quite general today, but when you give your rate your name, that's going to be specific to you as a company and your structure. The rate engine is the method of charging. It really powers the rate. Now there's a couple of options, as I mentioned. You can see them all here, and they can, within themselves, be modified to work independently as well. For example, if we keep it quite straightforward, we can select the weekly rate there. And what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to state that we are going to charge weekly, but we can change the number of days our week is if we only wanted to charge for 5 days, let's say, and not include weekends. You will also be able to state your minimum rental weeks. So if you wanted to make sure we would only ever charge a minimum of 2 weeks, you could set that. You can also state leeway minutes. That's, if you have an opportunity, they may come back an hour after the end of a week ending. We wouldn't necessarily want to charge a whole new week for just that 1 hour. So you can pop in some leeway minutes there as well. As I mentioned, we won't be chatting through specific rates here today, but our team have a lot of experience in the rental industry and with the rates that are often used. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to contact us. If you're not sure where to start as well, we'll be happy to provide you with some advice. We may even be able to take a look at some examples you have of rental rate structures and how they can be best implemented into Current. Don't forget, you've got the green help bubble in the bottom right-hand corner there. That will allow you to send a message to our team, and we will be happy to help with any questions that you do have. As I mentioned as well, you can also jot down any questions that you have as we go through the webinar and send them across to us at the end. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at taxes. Taxation can be quite a scary thing. It's obviously very important to get right, and we don't want anybody getting in trouble with anyone for not charging the correct taxes. Now, for certain countries where tax is relatively straightforward, it is automatically set up in your system for you. So that covers anyone who is based in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Ireland, and the UAE. So if if you're located in those areas, tax should already be set up for you within the system. For anybody else, unfortunately, you will have to create your own taxes, and that can be done here within this taxation system. You can set up the taxation settings that are relevant for you so that charging tax is specific for your needs. Now, at the top, you'll find that we've got the ability to add in organization tax classes and product tax classes. These are going to be the names for the tax classes that you're going to associate with your organizations, they're your customers, and also your products within the system. Where you enter your tax rates is, of course, in this tax rate section that we have here. And you can select Add Tax Rate over in the right-hand corner, where you will then be able to give your tax rate a name. You'll be able to state the country that it's based in, and then a state. So for the United Kingdom, we all have one state. However, if we were to use the United States as our example, it will give us a list of states that we can select from. Now, if you don't want to apply it to a specific area or zip code or postcode, we do have the ability just to leave its zip code with an asterisk that will apply that to every zip code within a particular state. We do also have the ability to set a zip code range, and that's where we can state a specific area where this taxation rate is going to be applicable to. Finally, you can actually apply your tax rate there. You can state how much we wish to charge for this particular area. If I just come back out of this page, and if we find our taxation again, we'll then be able to connect all of these areas together in the tax rules. So you'll be able to connect your tax class for your organizations, for your products, to the tax rate that you've created as well. And that just means that when that tax rule is applied to an organization, to a product, it will then calculate tax as such on your opportunity. Remember, this is really important. You want to get this right. So if you do have any questions about taxation, if you're not too sure on how to best set it up, please come to us, ask those questions, and we'll be happy to provide you with the advice that we can to help get that set up correctly within your system. So now that we've got those two sorted, we're going to move on to system preferences. Preferences can be accessed via your system setup, but there is also a direct link under the My Account section at the bottom of the page. It's worth noting at this stage as well that system preferences and system setup can only be accessed via admin members. So you must be an admin member to access the system. Any user who signs up for their initial account will automatically have that admin right. So it's just any additional team members who may be signing up or getting involved who will need that permission. But we'll touch on add-in users in just a moment. So at the top of the page there, you'll see we've got the ability to state our language. What language do we want the system to be in? What currency would we like the system to be in? And how units such as weight and distance are monitored. We're also going to be able to scroll down the page here and find our product settings. And in your product settings, you're going to be able to set your availability period. Now, the availability period determines the default time period used in Current RMS. It affects the units used when calculating stock availability for your rental products. Now, products are rented, and when they are, they're made unavailable. From the start of the availability period, they fall in. And you can set your availability period really to state when you would like your items to be returned. So you can see here we have it set to hour, but the default option you will find it set to is day. And what this means is that when a job is completed, when the next day starts, our availability will then become available again. You do also have the option for half day and quarter day, and a lot of companies use hour, which means that within an hour of the items being checked back in, they will then be marked as completed, ready for the next job that could be happening 2 hours time from now. So you do have a little bit of variety there. Next up, we have numbering. Now, if you're coming from an existing system or have just been using spreadsheets, you may already have a numbering platform in place for your number sequences. In Current, you're able to set numbering sequences for your opportunities. So we can find out opportunity numbering down here. For your invoices and credits, just below there. And then also for your purchase orders. So we do have a purchase order section. It is currently in beta, but you can set a purchase order number sequence here within the system. These numbers are important as they will be applied to your opportunities, to your orders, to your invoices, as and when you create them. So you will want to make sure that they fall in with the sequence you've already been using. This is especially helpful if you've been using either Xero or QuickBooks Online, two accounting platforms that we are integrated with, and you will be able to bring that invoice number sequence into Current so that when you post your invoices across into either platform, they continue on with the number sequence without any interruption. A little bit further down the page, we're going to find our tax calculation settings. Now, this is sort of connected to the taxation that we were just discussing. Your tax calculation method that we see here is how you would like to have your tax calculated. So is it on the unit price of an item? Is it on the raw total for that particular product? Or is it on the total of the overall job? You can go in and select how you would like your tax to be calculated, and that can vary depending on the region that you're located in. How your tax is calculated can be based on whether we're doing that on the delivery address, where the equipment is going to be going to, the billing address, which is where the equipment is going to, where the customer is located, their billing address, their location, or finally the delivery origin. If you select delivery origin, for the most part, your tax is always going to calculate the same, as that will be located on your store address. So that will then calculate tax based on where you yourself are located. You're also going to be able to select here whether you would like to calculate tax before or after discount. And you can also state whether your catalog prices, your prices as they appear in the system, exclude tax or are including tax, which again will change the way that the tax is located. There are other settings inside this particular section within system preference that are definitely worth exploring. But these are the key ones that you'll want to get set up before you get started with your system. Again, if there are any questions around any areas of the system within the system preferences, please feel free to get in touch and we'll be more than happy to help. So I mentioned earlier on about users, and that's what we're going to take a look at next. If I just scroll down to system setup again, we'll be able to go into your settings section where we're going to be able to find users and role membership. Now, Current RMS is designed for team collaboration. So we want to get all of your team members involved. It's worth noting that your subscription to Current is based on the number of users that you add to the system. And you can add as many users as you like during the trial. So if you want to get more people involved in the trial and building the information, you're able to do so. If you want to find more information out about pricing, you can do so on our website in the pricing section. There you will find a pricing calculator that will help you know what the monthly or annual charge will be based on the number of users you add into the system. There's no limit on the number of times an account can be logged in or a limit on the number of sessions. So it's great if you want to log in at home, at work, or on your phone or tablet. As you will know, Current is completely cloud-based, so you can access it wherever you are on any device as long as you're connected to the internet and have a browser. As I mentioned, we offer a monthly and annual plan. The benefit of the monthly plan is that you can add and remove users at any point. So if you do have seasonal busy periods where you want to add in more users, get more use from the system, you can maybe add in more users then, but then deactivate them during your quieter periods so you don't have to pay quite so much. There are, as we mentioned, multiple benefits to having different accounts. Reasons for doing so is that you're able to restrict certain users. So you will be able to go into the roles and role membership section just here, and you will be able to add a role. And that will allow you to go in, and it will allow you to see the different modules that you may want them to have access to, so they can see that information that they may need to create, information that they may want to edit, and information that they can delete. You can also give them certain permissions in regards to actions around Current. So we can see that we've got different actions in connection with your opportunities in regards to the detail view, which can be used to allocate and book out your stock. You can also state which dashboard tiles they may need to see. So we've got our dashboard tiles just there. That will allow them to have access to certain information right away when they log into the system. Having multiple user accounts will also allow you to be able to see the accountability. So who's done what within the system. If somebody's removed information from Current, you're going to be able to see who that was. If somebody's been working on a quotation, again, you're going to be able to know who you need to speak to about that. You will also be able to have individual access to discussions. So discussions are tracked emails from Current, and they are linked to jobs, customers, and products that can be utilized around the system. When you have multiple users set up, however, they will each be able to create discussions, and you'll be able to see who sent that, and they will be able to receive individual replies to discussions that they've sent into their own inbox rather than a shared one. They'll also be able to access individual calendars for their activities, as well as their own list of favorites. So you are able to favorite information in the system, certain customers, certain products, for example. So you will be able to favorite that, and you will be able to see each user's individual favorites. So there's multiple different reasons why you may want to set up certain users in the system. The restrictions and accountability being probably the most important. And your users themselves are actually created in your settings section. You'll see we've got our list of users here. And we can add in a user account, and we can just give them a name, assign their email address, and give them a password. If they want to change that, they can do when logging in. So when you log into the system, you're going to be able to state that there's a box that says, I forgot my password. They'll be able to click that. They will then be able to reset their own password. So that's something that they are going to remember. We can also make them an administrator here. We've got the administrator box. That's going to allow them to have full access to the system. And then at the very bottom of the page, we can assign them a role based on the roles that we have available. So the final thing that we're going to be talking about is adding your data into the system. Of course, this is really important, and it's really important that we get this right, as it means that when we hit the ground running, when we start. Now, there's two really important bits of information that we're going to be discussing today: our products and our organizations, our customers. There is, of course, other information that you may want to get into the system, such as any services being your people, being vehicles, being any charges that you may have that are not connected to inventory. We can also look at adding contacts into the system, or venues, people who work for specific organizations, maybe they're team members who don't need access to Current, and venues being any place where you're going to be delivering stock to. Now let's just start with our products. They can be found in the resources section. And in this resources section, we are going to find a whole host of products that have been imported into the system. Here we'll be able to see the rate that's been assigned to those products, how much we charge for that particular product. And we will also be able to import our stock levels. So how many of a particular item we have. You can start to import a product directly in the system by selecting Add Product. And in here, we're going to be able to begin adding the information in. So the name of the product. If there's an image, we may want to attach that to the product as well. And then we've got a selection of drop boxes that we might find useful. For example, is this product a rental item or a sale item? It can be both, in which case we'd select all under allowed stock type. Another really important option is our stock method. And that's whether the item is a bulk stock item, a non-stock item, or a serialized item. For the most part, your items are likely to be bulk or serialized. And when we have a bulk stock product, that's where we just tell the system, we have 10, We don't track them individually, but we know exactly how many we have. And serialized is where we will be able to state that, again, we may have 10 of this particular item, but we want to track them individually, and each one is going to be assigned its own unique asset number. You also have the option to add in a buffer percentage here. The buffer percentage is when we want to be notified that we may be running low on stock. If we have, let's say, 10 items and our buffer percentage is set to 20%, when we only have 2 products left, it is going to then show that we are running low on stock, and we may want to be cautious about adding this onto other opportunities. Your post-rent unavailability is going to allow you to state that when this product is returned, we want it to be unavailable for a specific period of time. This can be useful if you have products that you maybe need to clean or service before they go back out again. Here's where you create your main product. Once you've created your product, you'll be able to go into that item. And as we scroll down the page, we'll be able to see here, we can assign a rate to the product using one of our rate definitions, which we've created earlier. And you will also be able to create stock levels. Now, this is a non-stock product, so it doesn't hold its own stock. But if we do just go into a camera that we have here, we can scroll down the page and see that we've got some stock levels. This is a serialized product, so it has its own asset numbers, but you can just select add stock level, where we can add in the asset number here, and then either create and add another, or create stock level, which will just add that item into the system. For your bulk stock products, you'll just be stating your opening balance, how many of these items do we have, and adding that stock level to the system. It's important to get this information right when you start, because it's really going to influence how easy it is to start building jobs and how true the information is. We want to get our products set up correctly so that when we start building jobs for our customers, all the information is there for them, but also for ourselves, so that when we go into our warehouse, we can be confident that the information is correct and that the products that we are looking for are available. You can add your organizations directly into the system using the People and Organizations section, which is essentially an address book of everyone that you're working with. Here you're going to be able to add an organization where we can just enter their name and all of their contact details. An organization is our customer. They can be a company we're working with. It can be an individual. They are going to be the person that we're sending the equipment to, or the company we're sending the equipment to. So that is important information that we want to get into Current. You do not need to add all of this information manually, however. That can take up quite a lot of time. So you may want to look at importing this information into the system using a CSV file. To do so, we're going to go back into System Setup, and we're going to go into Utilities. And in here, we'll find the option to import information into the system. That will allow you to import a CSV file that you have created. This is going to be especially helpful if you are currently working with spreadsheets, or if you are working in another system and want to export that information from Current. To help you get started, you can go into Export Data. And what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to export your organization information, perhaps, maybe your product, rates, and stock levels as well. And that will then provide you with CSV file templates that you can use to import the information into Current, giving you all of the headers that Current is going to look for. My advice would be to create 1 or 2 products and customers within the system. And that means that when you export the information, that information is going to be present on your spreadsheet, and you can use that as a guide. You can use that as a template for how the other information should look, and you just want to build your information onto that spreadsheet. Once built, that's when we can come back into our system setup, import the data. We just want to select the type of information that we are importing into Current, and we can then upload that information into the system. Remember that our team will be on hand to help with this. If you do have any error messages when you import the information and you're not quite sure what they mean, please feel free to get in touch with us. We'll be more than happy to take a look at those error messages with you, walk you through the process, and even if you want to send a copy of your spreadsheet across, we can take a look into that for you as well. If you are integrated with Xero or QuickBooks, there is actually a quick step as well for your customers. If we go into system setup, we're going to be able to go into the integrations page. And here you'll find we've got the Xero and QuickBooks integrations. Here, we're going to be able to select Xero, and we're going to just enable our integration. And what that will then allow you to do is to import contacts from Xero. So if you've already got your Xero or QuickBooks account set up, you will be able to come in and import that information from your accounting platform into Current. It will save you a lot of time. It will establish connections between your contacts or customers in QuickBooks and Xero and your organizations in Current. The page will look the same for your QuickBooks. You will have the import customers from QuickBooks option available. Likewise, if you're working the other way around, you've set up your current system, got all of your customer information in there, and then you want to pull that information into either Xero or QuickBooks, which you're setting up afterwards, you do have the option to export your organizations from Current into either of those platforms. So you can go in and take that information from one system to the other. It really can, again, help save a lot of time. In these pages, you're also going to be able to set up your integrations. You'll be able to set up your revenue tax mappings, revenue and tax mappings, sorry. So you'll be able to connect them up with the settings you already have within Xero. So that when you begin to build invoices, once you've got everything set up, you can successfully post that invoice from Current into either QuickBooks or Xero without any issues. And that's it for our webinar today. So we have kept this very specific today, looking at certain areas that you'll need to take a look at whilst you're setting up your system. But if you'd like to dive in a little deeper to any of these areas or get some advice specifically for your business and your setup, then we would encourage that you schedule an online demonstration with us. That can be to go into more detail about anything we've discussed today, but also any other area of the system that you are interested in. If you are new to Current, then you may want to have a full overview, which we'll be more than happy to do. Our demos are very similar to the webinar that we've had today, but it would just be yourself and your team with a member of our team. We can drill into the detail and focus on any areas that you think are important. They are free and unlimited. So if you want to use more than one, if you want to break them into sections for different people within your team, you're more than welcome to do so. We actively encourage that. And they are available whether you're a customer, whether you're in trial, or if you are just looking at your options. We've also got a comprehensive guide, list of guides. We've got a list of videos that are available via YouTube that will help you walk through different areas of the system, providing you with advice around certain areas. If you're not already part of our customer community, you can join us by signing up on our website. Again, there's a 30-day free trial. It's absolutely free. You don't need to commit to anything. And it will be a great opportunity for you to explore the system. You can sign up with no information in the system, but you can also have some dummy data incorporated to help you get started. Please feel free to reach out to our team with any questions you have about any area of the system, whether that be about Current, about the platform, about its features, or whether it's about anything we've discussed in today's webinar. We will be sending out a follow-up as well, so you are more than welcome to ask questions via that follow-up email that will be going out. So thank you very much for coming along today. This is our first webinar. We have many more coming, so please keep an eye on our social media and on your emails. We'll be sending out some campaigns about them. Our next one is how to achieve warehouse bliss in a couple of weeks, and that will be with my colleague, Aaron. So if you are new to Current, please feel free to sign up for the trial, and we'll reach out shortly to introduce ourselves and to find out a little bit more about you and your company. Again, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that that's been useful and beneficial. If you do have any questions, please feel free to send them across to us, and we'll be more than happy to help. Take care and stay safe. Thank you.